So, we're going to start news you can use. What's going on here? Anyway, my computer is acting a little weird. So, we're going to start with I use a wheelchair and I want more bike lanes. So, this is from the spin off. I think it is from England or some island. Uh, some island like that. And it is written by E.G. Barrett. They are a guest writer. So, this may come as a shock, but disabled people who use transport care about more than just a car park. So this is talking about mainly handicap parking spots. So it seems like nearly every week I am having arguments about how bike infrastructure is ableist, and it's not. The disabled community is frequently impacted by non-disabled people speaking on behalf of us, using our narratives to further their own agenda and causing harm in doing so. Multiple centers around the Motu are making long overdue upgrades to cycle infrastructure, including the Let's Go Wellington Moving Initiative in Godmatu, New Plymouth, Your Way. The comment sections of every social media post about these upgrades are littered with insincere cries about the removal of car parks. What about disabled people? They cry. Where will I mean they park? It is infuriating and painful to see people speak on behalf of the disabled people when they are really only trying to protect their non-disabled car parks. Interesting. Have you ever wondered where these people go when it's time to fight for a building code that requires accessible universal design features like lifts, ramps, and doorways of decent width? Or why these same faces and names appear again to oppose the social housing initiatives in their neighborhoods that would house disabled people, or why they're not advocating for more mobility parking at all. So this is an interesting argument. I'm not sure what country this is, but as you read the article, you'll find out. And this is about, people who are not disabled arguing for benefits for the disabled, and not arguing for the necessary things that are missing. So read the article. It sounds like a pretty interesting arguments there. We're going to go to the next article, and this is from The Traveler. And the author is Sophie Morgan. The issue is Beyond Barriers, the world's first wheelchair accessible safari. So if you like safaris, you got to listen to this one. Defining disability has long been a contentious and polarizing endeavor. For some, the world carries a heavy burden. For others, it's a source of pride. Each person's relationship with the label will be as complex, personal, and nuance as their impairment themselves. There is no single definition, no one size fits all. But in recent years, our community has agreed to move away from the medical model of defining disability and towards the social model. That's interesting. This new way of looking at the term outlines a disability is created by social society and the environment in which we live, not by our individual impairments. Disabled people face barriers that stop us from participating in society the same way as non-disabled people. So instead of wanting to fix us and remove our disabilities, the social model instead stipulates that we fix the barriers themselves. So, interesting concept. So, yeah. When Patrick Surverin became dependent on a wheelchair due to back complications in 2017, I doubt he had any awareness of the quandaries surrounding these ever-evolving ways of thinking. Regardless, when he temporarily became disabled, his world, namely a 2,000 hectare private game reserve in Klaseri National Park, South Africa, became inaccessible. This left him and his indomitable partner, Ellie, to ask the very question to some wheelchair users before them had grappled with. Who had grappled with to how do you do a safari in a wheelchair? You just don't in the back in the day. Well, let's see what they did. A pragmatic problem solver, Patrick began unknowingly applying the principles of the social model to the game reserve, setting about adapting the world around him to meet his needs. It was intentionally for his own benefit, but soon it occurred to him and Ellie that others with similar mobility impairments could benefit too. So read the article, it's very interesting, and I think this concept of medical versus social concept is growing. So this could benefit more than just you or me. It could start to benefit a lot of people. All right, so we go back to the insider here, and the author is Lindsay Dugson. So this we know is in across the pond in England. A disabled college student said she requested a wheelchair-accessible room, but was just given a bathtub. So I think I read this and I was kind of laughing because it was just kind of crazy. College student Alexa Kate shared her disappointment on TikTok about her dorm room, so you might want to look that up. Kate uses a wheelchair and had requested an accessible unit with a bathtub. Instead, she was given a non-accessible room with a bathtub she can't use. Here we go. Get the inside scoop on today's biggest stories in business from the Wall Street to Silicon Valley. A college student who uses a wheelchair shared her disappointment on TikTok about her dorm room after she requested an accessible room but got a non-accessible one with a bathtub. Alexa Kate, who studies at Chapman University in Orange, California, well, it's on this side of the pond, said she requested a wheelchair accessible unit with a bathtub at her college's housing office. But what she was given was a non accessible room with a bathtub, one she wouldn't be able to use to get into. In the video's caption, Kate wrote that the housing officer must have thought she must have preferred to a bathtub, even if the unit is not accessible. What did they think I was going to do? She wrote, asking if they thought she would just magically be able to walk. So, yes, some people think that. Kate also responded to several comments explaining the situation further and expressing her frustration. In what world does my preference for a bathtub overpower my need for accessibility? She said in her comment. She also asked what good a bath was if she couldn't even get into it by herself. Do they think that the bath is for decoration? She said. So read this article because it's very interesting in the conflict that arises from all that. We're going to go from here to Princeton. The Daily Princetonian. And this article was written by, if I can find the author, Spencer Bauman. So thank you, Spencer. We're going to just dive into this one short because it's a long article. Student in wheelchair expelled for using a personal electric vehicle in designated zone parking peak hours. Okay, the following content is purely satirical and entirely fictional. Well, that's interesting. Following the university restrictions on personal electric vehicles use inaccessible, 24 was expelled for breaking the rules on multiple occasions and showing feigned remorse for her action and noted by Princeton Public Safety. Accessible was who uses an electric wheelchair, lives in one of the university's completely inaccessible dorm buildings. Due to her ill-suited sorted into Rockefeller College and unfortunate room draw time. After bringing attention to her issue, housing services provided accessible with a chain lock for her wheelchair so that it wouldn't be stolen from the bike rack outside her dorm overnight. A strategy with 100% success rate, as an evidenced by hundreds of residential college listserv emails. Accessible and her electric wheelchair were first stopped outside the McCosh Hall. Officers recorded her riding at a top speed of 12 miles per hour, faster than the allowed 10 miles per hour described in the message email to all undergraduate students on August 18th. The P-Safe officer who caught up with Accessible noted that she was uncooperative and refused to step out of the vehicle. Accessible explained that the university restriction states that the policy does not apply to PEVs, which is a personal electric vehicle use intended to reasonably accommodate the disabled. The officer told Accessible it was above their pay grade. to deem what was considered reasonable. So, as it's stated above, the following content is purely satirical and entirely fictional. So, you can read that for fun to see how this embroilment plays out. So now we're going to go to steps, adding steps for wheelchair users. And this one's interesting because I do go out and sometimes I wonder how many steps, I go in my wheelchair. So adding steps for wheelchair users. And the author on this one, I don't see it. So we're going to just say 10,000 steps article. The 10,000 Steps program aims to encourage everyone to use our website to track their activity, including those in wheelchairs. While 10,000 steps is obviously based on logging steps, there are several ways in which wheelchair users' activity can be recorded as steps. So they're working on that. Adding steps from an activity tracker. So with the widespread availability and use of wrist-worn activity trackers, there might be many wheelchair users who already use these devices to track their physical activity. If this method is working for you to estimate your activity via step figure, you can sync and your Fitbit or Garmin in it, and it will automatically sync your daily steps. If your activity is converted to steps in Apple Health, these can be synced using our mobile application. If you use another activity tracker that uses steps, you can enter your daily steps in the step log. Okay, enter minutes of moderate vigorous activity for any exercise. So the addition of the moderate and vigorous activity columns in the step logs was designed to enter any activity in which a pedometer would not actually record. You may enjoy activities such as swimming, the gym, or wheelchair sports that you would like to enter. Entry of minutes into these columns converted time into an estimate step count, which is added to the step total for the day. So 10 minutes of moderate, intentionally active activity, 1,000 steps. 10 minutes of high intensity activity, 2,000 steps. So it goes on and on. So you can take a look at this activity. It's quite a few pages long because it explains how they convert, your wheelchair activity into steps, which is kind of cool. All right. We're going to go to the Fayetteville Observer, and the author of this article is Andrew Kraft. So we want to thank Andrew for this article. Photos. Wheelchair basketball is back in Fayetteville. Take a look at the team practice. So we've gone over to sports. So this is very cool because we are tracking and observing what's going on in the daily lives of the Paralympics. So here we go. So there's quite a few photos here, and there's descriptions there. So you can take a look at the team and how they're doing and what they're doing. All right, and there's a great video here, a YouTube video, European Para Championship, 2 weeks of spectacular moments in para sports. So this is a YouTube video, And that's great because it'll give you all the pictures and the comments and everything else. And it's great for YouTube as well because YouTube wants us to stay on YouTube. so so that's good too. So we help YouTube and we help ourselves in updating what's going on with the tournaments. Wheelchair lacrosse tournaments held at Buffalo Riverworks. So there's also a YouTube video on that, and so you can take a look at that and listen to what is going on. It's pretty interesting. Kind of interesting when we have a video and not just an article. Okay. So from there we go. Women's wheelchair basketball scores high for female sports in Gaza. So this is what's going on for female basketball, and it's quite interesting. It's a long article, so I'll read just a paragraph or two. Female athletes face discrimination in the Gaza Strip, and those with disabilities even more so. But the female wheelchair basketballers are tenaciously overcome the hardships. So the Palestine Red Crescent team emerged victorious in the women's wheelchair basketball tournament final at Saad Sayel Hall in Gaza City on Monday, closing Gaza's Paralympics Games. This was seen as a remarkable achievement considering the large number of challenges the young women face. This was seen as a remarkable achievement considering the large number of challenges. This was the first time for the Red Crescent women to join a competition, yet they showed a spectacular performance and deservedly managed to win in spite of the great challenges surrounding this sport in Gaza. Match referee Ahmad Sohrab told the media line. After receiving intensive training, 4 teams participated in the women's wheelchair basketball competition, which was sponsored by the Bank of Palestine. On the first day, the Palestine Red Crescent team faced Al Farasat Club, followed by a round between Al Salam and Al Jazeera clubs. On Monday, Red Crescent defeated Al Salam to take home the trophy. So there's a big article here, and that's good because it would be interesting to learn a little bit more about those obstacles and the problems they faced. So the last article here for the International Women's Basketball Federation. Schedule unveiled for the 2023 U25 Women's World Championship. So this is awesome. This is a page you want to mark because it's going to give you the entire schedule for the Women's Basketball Championship. And so I'm just going to give some heads up here. And this comes from the International Women's Basketball Federation. So if you want to go to that page, and I'll always put the link in. The wheelchair basketball family and supporters from around the globe can now mark their calendars for the exhilarating tournament scheduled to take place from the 3rd of October to the 9th of October. The championship will be hosted in Bangkok by the Thai Wheelchair Basketball Sports Association, where the world's top young female wheelchair basketball athletes will coverage to showcase their skills and compete for the coveted title. So I will put that link down below so you can have it and take a look at those dates. I don't know what channels it'll be showing, but I'm sure somewhere we'll have to take a look. And maybe in the United States, they might, put down some dates, or they might give some snippets of the championships. So that is it for news you can use. My name is Lisa, and this is World Wheelchair Warriors. I'm hoping you all are well. Thank you so much for coming. And we will see you soon in the next video.